Yeah, it's a fantastic opportunity to re-sign this year alongside some of other the like England players that we have. So yeah, no, it's been great, and I'm really looking forward to spending some more time at the club. There's no other club I'd want to play for. So yeah, no, it's just great, and especially on the back of the World Cup to be able to come back to the club and make sure that I'm doing my part in the cherry and whites after the World Cup hopefully is all I kind of wanted to do. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was saying to Beckett the other day, it's just like so hard not to fit in at Gloucester because we have just such a wide range of people, and like everyone just kind of turns up and is themselves, and then they kind of fit in because we're kind of a bit of a mismatched bunch. So I feel like it's just that kind of expectation that we're gonna win and we're gonna do these things, but also that the club has probably been in a place where we haven't always had that, and like we haven't always won things and accolades, and it's about the people and investing in those people and their personalities and being able to express that on the pitch. And Linny and Murph and that and the staff always say like license to inspire, and that's kind of like our slogan, I guess, if you will. And I think that's what it's all about, is taking your personality and how you feel and expressing that on the pitch. And I think that's probably why I feel like I fit so well at this club, is because that's kind of who I am, I guess. And yeah, the rugby is where I get to express myself. But the stuff outside of it is a contributor to that. They have been so committed to the women's game over the last, however many years. And I think especially Linny taking that next step to go on and coach Wales is just amazing. And he's just been such a supportive person. And I was saying to some of the girls the other day that he's just like the biggest hype man you could ask for. Like he fills you with confidence, and he tells you where you're going, and he gives you the critiques that you need, and he's just always there to support you. And I think that's exactly what Wales need right now. So obviously it's a bit bittersweet for us because we're seeing him move on, but also it's so exciting for him to kind of move on and take on that bigger role. But yeah, I think just as a general, like the club, everyone is just so invested and cares so much, all the way from Django all the way down to the physios, the S&Cs, everyone, like everyone's so committed to getting the job done, and also being really honest about the areas that we need to grow in and the way that the women's game is going. So I think that's another really important bit about working in the women's game at the minute, is that we're not at that finished product maybe like where the men's are at. So yeah, everyone's just super dedicated to getting the job done, and yeah, I just think it's such a great place to be. When I first decided to come to Gloucester, it was kind of almost like I was really struggling, and it was like a fresh start for me. And I thought, that's a club I would love to play for because they win, but they also have people who really care. And I just think it's a really great environment that's going to get the best out of me and also be able to support me. And I think when I first showed up, I think I was probably a bit, probably not fully myself, or not fully like confident in who I was, because I was struggling behind closed doors. But like not one single person really like turned away from that, I guess. And yeah, it was such a cool environment to come in. And I definitely like Mo and Zoe and that were just super supportive and checked in all the time, and Linny and that. And I think they just really care about people and how they're doing off the pitch. And I think this season especially, I've really just found my feet. And yeah, last season I think I was just a bit of a fresh start for me and a bit of a reset. And yeah, I think that's why I just gravitated towards Gloucester, because I just thought that's probably the perfect place for me to kind of do that and work through some of those things and yeah, show up, I guess. I essentially just was really struggling with mental health, went to the GP and kind of was like, I think I have ADHD, but I've got like these other things going on, and yeah, I'm just curious about like what the path is. And it was kind of like, okay, yeah, we'll kind of send you off for an ADHD thing, but with the NHS it's quite long waiting lists, like they have a lot of people to get through. And I just decided to kind of go down the private route and really get a diagnosis, because for me it just felt like I really needed to do that. And so yeah, I've started medication, which is quite exciting, and yeah, just working through that and how that works with rugby and balancing that. But I think I've probably not heard of a lot of people talking about it, I guess, in a rugby capacity. About, I guess you hear about mental health and stuff, and you do hear about it, but I guess in the women's game, I think we juggle a lot of different things, and there's probably a lot of people out there that struggle, that don't really have the platform to be able to talk about it and to be able to express themselves and talk about their experience. And like like I said, we talk about inspiring, like the community and things like that. And I think that's part of it, like, is that real like honesty about kind of where you're at, and that we are like humans at the end of the day, I guess. And we're not always perfect, and we're not always, what you might see on the pitch isn't always what's happening, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily define who you are, I guess. And for me, it was just about that validation, like getting an ADHD diagnosis, because I was like, oh, my brain's just wired a different way, and that's why I can do what I can do on the pitch. but I might struggle in other areas, but I just need extra support. I think for me, I just was like, well, I'm just going to say it because no one else is really saying it. And I know that everyone struggles, and I know that people struggle in their own ways. And so if, and I think I probably had this perception that, oh, like, it's not really that inspiring. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, whatever, just get on with it. Whereas actually, I probably wished even 5 years ago I had, somebody, I saw a video of an England player or somebody playing international rugby saying like, oh yeah, it's actually okay to struggle sometimes, and you go through stuff, and it's totally fine to be open and vulnerable. I probably would have been like, oh, that's actually really cool. And I probably would have had maybe a bit of a different path with it. So yeah, I think that's probably, I guess, what the ambition is now, I guess, is to just be open about it and say, yeah, I'm actually struggling, and yeah, it's okay. And yeah, I'll get through it at some point, and I'll lean on the people I need to lean on. But that doesn't, make me any less capable of playing rugby on a Saturday. There's a lot more stuff going out on social media, and you're seeing different things and different perspectives of people. And I really was like starting to put the pieces together, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually really how like it impacts my life. So it's definitely, that's one element of it, is the kind of like, fidgety concentration stuff. But there's also like a whole boatload of other things that go on when you have ADHD. And I think for me, I was like, oh, I don't like really resonate with a lot of that, and I resonate with this, and it's kind of just bits and bobs. And yeah, there's these misconceptions that, the hyperactivity is the only symptom that you have, but actually there's a host of other things that go on when you have ADHD. So yeah, for me, it was about pinpointing kind of how I struggle and how I can kind of work through that, and what support I need, and how am I going to get the best out of myself and the best out of my life to be able to be the best person for my friends and family and teammates. So yeah, I think it's, again, just having access to those things. Like if I didn't have access to that, I probably would still really be struggling. And I'm sure there'll be periods of time where I go through that struggle with it. But at the same time, I feel like I'm in a really good place right now because I've been able to have that support and have been given the room to kind of do that, I guess. Medication definitely has helped for sure. And it just, I think it makes me just feel a little bit, less frazzled and less, going on. And I was saying on the podcast to like Skaz and Mo and that, like my sleep has been a big one, which is funny because I actually slept terribly last night, but it overall has been like actually really, really helpful for my sleep. And then obviously that just translates onto the pitch, and I'm able to actually show up and be the best version of myself. And then, when you sleep well, you eat well, you train well, and also you don't feel so like your mood isn't so up and down. And I felt like that's what it was like a bit before, is that I'd have these really, really high points, these really low points, and it would just be like so all over the place. And I couldn't really balance myself out. Whereas I feel like now with this medication, I've probably been a bit more stable with that and been able to cope a bit better. So yeah, it's been really helpful. I think rugby is such a unique experience where you're on the pitch and you go through these like crazy emotions together, and you go through this whole season and you feel so connected. And then I think part of me was a bit like, oh, I actually feel really disconnected because I have not been open or honest with anybody. Like I've just really shut off to people and really like kept it all to myself. And when I started kind of doing that, I was like, oh, I'm finding my personality again. I'm actually finding how I can interact, and these are the people that care about me. But I think at the club, like nobody ever really shied away from it, which was great. And I probably wasn't the most honest about it at the start. And I think people probably thought I was a bit of a recluse, and now I've really probably opened up a bit, and everyone's like, whoa, like where have you come from? But yeah, I think it's just about finding that safe space where you can actually be yourself. I think I used to think like, oh, well, I'm just going to show up and play on a Saturday, and that's kind of it. And now you see tons of girls and young kids and their families, and even the men getting involved and invested in the women's game. And I think you actually see the impact it has on people, and the way that it can inspire them to kind of achieve their goals and stuff. And so I think, I guess it's more of just showing the kind of like real vulnerability that happens, and being a bit more authentic off the pitch. That's kind of who I've always been. And I think that I probably tried to fit into this mold where it's like, oh, you're this perfect person and you don't talk about anything that's difficult, and you just show up and you do a job, and you have this kind of like, professionalism. And that's actually the complete opposite of who I am as a person. So I thought, why kind of change that? And I'm at a club where that's really celebrated and supported, and that is really, what we drive to kind of do, is inspire the community and inspire people, especially young people, to kind of carry on and keep going and follow their dreams. So I mean, if it doesn't inspire anybody, who knows? But if it helps at least a few people, or just even, I think just hearing people talk about things and be a bit more vulnerable helps, everyone connect. So